Welcome one and all. We are gathered here to be in conversation about the applied permaculture principles in International Permaculture CoLab, the online community. and this is brought to you by Next Steps Project. The team is also called Applied Permaculture in Communities. And one of the objectives of this team is to deliver a conversation around how does CoLab, our CoLab, the Permaculture CoLab, engage applying these principles in its own way, and where do we see, and to understand the impact and evaluation and evaluate where are certain gaps and where can we leverage our strengths, where do we find opportunities. This conversation is designed around it. Hi Malwa. We've just started. I'm just introducing this particular conversation, which is applied permaculture in applied permaculture principles in our CoLab. Welcome, Kate. So a couple of things, just basic rules of how we are going to engage today. Please come on video if you can. Know that this is being recorded, and it will be on a private YouTube channel, and then we can decide if there are pieces of this that we want to publish publicly. This conversation, there is a Miro board we would be working at, and that is the board that has come up in your chat. There are 3 pieces. Oh, thank you. Amy says it's public now. I didn't know that. Thanks, Amy. There are 3 pieces to this conversation. I call them the what, so what, and now what. What it would be, what it would look like if you go into the Miro board, and I'll walk us through the Miro board, and it's all set up that way, is we'll first go through what are these permaculture principles, just as a refresher. What are the ethics? What are the domains that we engage in, most famously called as the permaculture flower. It's just a refresher. And then as a setup, an extension of the setup, we would stop at each of the what, so what, now what stations per se, or sections or phases, and we will explore them in depth in quiet reflections and in group reflections, and feed off of each other's ideas, and also expose the ecosystem a little bit. Just to remind you once again, the purpose for this gathering is to understand what's already showing up in the CoLab. So there is that awareness of, we are working the way that we intended to work, or we are not working the way that we intended to work. Also to make visible for any evolution that is intended to happen with these principles at work, and also to begin the co-creation of an artifact, I'm hoping, that will withstand the duration of time for a before and after, if we started to making shifts in the ecosystem, and so on and so forth. Does that sound all right from a high level setup, container setup, as to why we have gathered here? A few thumbs ups are good, especially Malwa and Kate. Do you all understand why you are here to have what kind of conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I just saw I was invited, so figured yeah, I mean, looks like good way to learn more about CoLab. Yeah, I guess I'll see as the meeting goes on. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Kate, you're okay with what's happening?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. sounds really good to me. I'm really interested to see what emerges from this one. So yes,
Yeah, so just let's go through quickly the permaculture flower. This shouldn't come as a surprise. Just a quick refresher in the ethics and design principles. The 7 aspects of permaculture in and around us are building. How do we build together? The co-creation aspect of it, the land and nature stewardship, our relationship to nature and in around the world. Um, Also, the the land tenure and community governance. This is mostly the policies, the 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 setup for keeping it safe, keeping it fertile, all of that. Finances and economics, the budgets, what the cost of the resources, and so on and so forth. Health and spiritual well-being, education and culture, tools and technology that we use. I have here each, like I've asked you to look for quick, just to juggle, warm up your mind. Um, I've asked here to set up some, like, look at some of the activities that are already happening that you can relate to the permaculture flower. That's not part of this exercise, but I would, as I said, like, just warm up as I'm going into a monologue here. I'll give you some. Hopefully, what's happening? Never mind. So the next piece is permaculture ethics in practice. We all know the nature care, people care, and also fair share are our permaculture ethics. These are very high level, very abstract. These create the relationship that we have with our projects, with the people that we work and with the nature that we engage with. And the next one is our permaculture design principles. All 12 of them are listed here. It starts with observe and interact, catch and store energy. The way that I read it is like, where is your energy being pulled, and be very intentional about it as to where you're spending it. Obtain a yield, being productive, applying self-regulation and accepting feedback. Use and value renewable resources and services, produce no waste, design from patterns to details, integrate rather than segregate, use small and slow solutions, use and value diversity, use edges and value marginal, creatively use and respond to change. We honestly, these images I have taken from another offering that we as a team in another project we were offering, the introduction to permaculture, and these images and this presentation is by David Holmgren. So far so good. Like, I mean, there's not much I have touched on, but overall we remember what is our domain that we are working in, the ethics, the principles, the design, the flower. Yeah, shouldn't come as a surprise. We've all seen it multiple number of times. Yeah.
I'm not
Ready
sure,
to
Marwa, have you had any permaculture course before, perhaps? Are you familiar with these terms?
Yeah, I'm familiar. I haven't paid for PDC, but I've done multiple free online permaculture courses. Like Jeff Lawton has a lot of free online resources. Also, there's Heather Joe Flores has like a year-long free permaculture course, and also of course like reading. But yeah, it's like pretty basic.
So you have some introduction, and also you've heard of these, and I hope
Yeah, yeah.
specifically for you, like you can see how these principles are applied in CoLab and what are some of the practices and the tools that we have in the CoLab to enrich the permaculture design across. So any other questions before we move on? Vida, Kate?
Yeah, Joe, I feel once you get us into it, like actually show us the examples of how we can speak about this, I think it's going to be serious. I think we can just jump in there, if that's all right.
Yeah, sounds good. So my question, so first, right, let's get into the meat. As I said, the what, so what, now what? The what piece is essentially, how is permaculture alive in our CoLab? That is the question we are answering in the what, and you will see, I'm sharing my screen, the what frame. And in that frame, let's take about 10 minutes to, there are post-its. Let's grab and write on each of these posters which principles are applied how in our CoLab. What essentially I would like us to think on tactically as you answer those questions is, where have you seen that particular principle? If it is against one, have the post-it stack line after in a linear fashion. Where have you seen that principle applied in CoLab through projects, communication, decision-making, relationships, tools, processes, wherever you have seen it apply? It could be your experience. It could be something that you have co-created with some other person within the CoLab. All answers are welcome. We are looking for practical ways that we see those applications happen within the CoLab. Does that sound all right? Let's take, somebody explain. I thought I logged it.
I locked it now.
Okay, I thought I logged it, but thank you. That's all right, Kate. As long as you are participating. Let's take about 10 minutes. I'll start the timer. I don't know if I can start the timer. Oh yeah, I cannot start the timer because I'm not an admin on the Miro. I have my timer on. Go ahead and go through each of those principles, pick up a post-it card and see where you have seen it working. Working, applied. Let's take another 2 to 3 minutes, and I'll check back in if we need more time. Okay. Do we need a couple more minutes to wrap up? Please unmute yourself and let me know.
I'm fine. I'm good.
Thank you. As we quietly or as we intently move away from this board, I want you to look at all the answers. I've had a chance, and it is important for you to know what these things are, so the next phase would go easy. So please take a moment to study all the post-its, look for the relevance. If something jogs your mind as you read, add another post-it. Perhaps you that will serve as a a tangent that you can take on. So go ahead and study the board or this frame, the what frame, for a little bit and see if anything comes up. We'll spend about 3 minutes here. Let me know, signal in some way so I know you are done looking at what's on the board. And if you have questions for clarifications, this would be a good time to ask them as well. If you see a post-it that is not clear enough or you would like to understand it more, this would be a good time to ask. I wish we had more representation from other teams. But I'm sure, like, between all of us, we are representing, of course, Amy is here. Yeah, I understand, Amy. Always the intention is the more the merrier, but I think I would want to address that in the challenges section. As we move into that, how do we engage collab? Wait, that's an abstract question, but it's too early right now. Are there any examples as to how we have responded to change quickly, or you have responded to change quickly as the change was happening? And I'm only asking questions to jog your minds. There doesn't need to be an answer. I'm not thinking of an answer as I'm asking these questions. Like something is not working and we quickly had to pivot. That would be a great example to respond to change. You know, the small and slow solutions, it's not. I was stuck on small and slow solutions. I couldn't think of any. But I am grateful that you all have put something in there. Yeah. Anything that stands out? We have about a couple of minutes before we move to the next phase that you would want to speak from this particular section. Just a observation. Observe and interact. This is the time to take that principle. It's a quiet group. You're on mute, Amy, if you're talking to us. You're not?
No to one, sorry.
No worries. Okay. Feel like we are ready to move into the so what aspect of it? Yeah, the thumbs up or some indication. Oh, I understand. I'm also coughing, darling. I'm also coughing a lot. Thank you. So the next frame is our so what, and a couple of things to look from. You would probably have to go left to right, look at what's on the left-hand screen of the what, see, and as you think about those, think about how you are aligned in that principle in a particular situation. When I asked myself, where are we aligned? I was thinking, what are we doing consistently? It's become a policy, it's become a process. It's a way for us to measure progress. It's a way for us to understand the impact. It's something that we can tangibly, intangibly adhere to. It's something, it's in our blood, it's in our nature. You know, that's what we that's what the intention is. When I put that question there, where are we aligned? So for now, let's stay focused on that column. I will bring us to the next column where might we be falling apart. That is more a little bit extension of when we see the gaps. But for now, let's focus on that column. Where are we aligned? Please look back and forth between the what and as it's the zoomed out lens, and then start thinking about these principles. Where are we aligned in principle one? Couple of questions to think about is, which principles feel deeply embedded in how we work, which are less visible? That's a different reframe of where are we aligned. Which principles feel deeply embedded in how we work, and which are less visible to us. Like for me, use of small and slow solutions. For a second, like I couldn't think much about them. Which principles or practices? Any questions? Perhaps what are the themes? What's surprising you? This is my favorite question. So those questions in the chat. Use that to guide you in answering those questions.
The one we've already mentioned and the previous one, technically we're aligned, so we could copy those over.
Yes, but also I'm looking for themes and principles. Like I want us to think more on a little bit thematically, like patterns. We are members of the CoLab who are participating, the team members. Kate, could be policymakers, governance, anybody who's making an impact in CoLab is a V. I'm thinking you are a voice for your team, so I'm respecting that, so inviting that V.
So I think this is what I meant about like examples, and I'm just going to throw this example out because otherwise it feels a bit like if we're just copying things from the last board. I don't know if that's what you want from us, but like I'm seeing like, okay, obtain a yield, number 3, like we're very focused on that. Well, from my perspective, we're very focused on that because I'm in a lot of next steps projects.
Right.
And so the next steps projects have a lot of objectives, a lot of reporting, a lot of what is the artifact. And it feels like that is like an overarching strong point.
Correct.
And if I could like, you know, like stacking, like I can see that some projects are across multiple principles, and I can go, okay, that's like a stacking functions thing because everything has multiple uses, you know. Is that the sort of thing that you're looking for?
Exactly. That the theme, the patterns that are consistent and have scaled over multiple groups that you see. I think the observe and interact piece, I would say formation of circles is a big piece in that. In my head, when I think about observe and interact, the essential need where we are aligned is we have rules how to form circles. Rules as in guidelines. The teams have project management support for the projects to happen. In the Emergent Festival, you know, the way that you apply, you have to answer those questions, right? Like already embedded is the impact and evaluation. Those are the pieces that we are aligned. Amy is right in the sense, like on the left hand, the what piece, we did talk about some of these things. It could directly be copied over. But I'm looking at categories, like in the feedback stuff, like do we have that feedback as a process already embedded in whatever we produce? And yes, if yes is the answer, that's where we are aligned. Does that make sense? It's an aggregation.
Well, I just noticed one of these sticky notes says lots of diversity focus, but not sure if we see it in representation. So that seems like it should be 2 separate notes for 2 separate columns, like being aligned on lots of diversity focus, and then for where we might be falling short, not sure if it translates to representation.
Yeah, Malwa, like hold on your comments. We haven't done completely wrapping up on this, and there will be a chance for us to adjust where the answers go. Just in the process of adding, but yeah, I think Vida has heard your comment and separated it.
Yeah, I appreciate that because it was sort of in my head as I
Yeah,
wrote it out.
totally.
So,
It's
yeah.
it's an emergent thought, and you have segregated into the right category. I understand. And it is natural that at this stage the themes tend to narrow our focus, and that is the intention, because the next stage is actionable stage where we don't want too much in focus. So it is intentionally designed it that way, that we see patterns and themes at this stage, categories as to what works, and is consistent and is scaled across different aspects or different sections of the collab. And there is no right way of doing this, so I'm sure if we had 2 or 3 other people, we would have different answers. So
Could you talk a little bit into your post-it, what you just wrote now, Malwa?
Small was getting ready to talk. I will encourage you to move into the second column where we might be falling short. These are perhaps the challenges you see or places that can use some of the work that's happening in other areas of the CoLab, other teams, other projects of the CoLab. I understand it's vulnerable to speak about what's not working or failing, but I wouldn't. It's not about being ruthless. It's about seeing it as an opportunity where we can focus a little bit more better. And something to consider for that column is this. What might be the impact or consequence of not applying certain principles more intentionally? Or what's at stake if we don't embody these principles? If you go in with that intention into what are the challenges or what are we not aligned on or what we might be, it'll give you a little more context as to why those principles need to go, and then you can leverage it onto what's not working. Again, these prompts are there to help you think. Another reframe is this. Are there tensions, contradictions, or missed opportunities you're noticing? It start from there. And Malwa, Amy had asked you to expand a little bit on a comment you posted. Amy, do you wanna? You're talking about the additional funding.
Yes, because obviously the fund is limited to what we can get. It's not, we can't. But it's a valid comment. I mean, it's a valid comment. It's just that I don't know if that's what you mean, because we're limited by what we can get.
Yeah, I think a reframe to that, Malwa, if you want to answer, is like, where do you see opportunities for additional funding that you are interested in seeing? We all need additional funding. We always talk about it. But again, we do the work with the limitation as Amy was talking about.
Yeah, I know. Like when I was talking to Hans, I asked him, since we're highlighting how there are opportunities, like the equitable wage guide outlines equitable wages for CoLab members, but then he wasn't necessarily focusing on the fact that there still aren't enough funds available. Like when I asked him, are there funds available to cover the cost of living for all of the CoLab members? He said that the CoLab doesn't really have funds to cover the cost of living for all the CoLab members. So that would be like more ideal situation is if the CoLab did have funds to be able to provide equitable wages to cost of living for all of the members that are
On a
in
full-time
the CoLab.
basis. You mean like universal income? Like I pay you
not just universal basic. Not just universal basic income, but like even income as reimbursement for work that's done. But
we do that.
Like Hans was saying,
Amy,
but
I think I
Hans was saying
understand.
that Hans was saying that the amount of money that the CoLab has is not enough to pay all of the CoLab CoLab members to, like, if it were wages for enough wages to cover the cost of living of all of the CoLab members. I don't
Okay, I
know, maybe
understand.
what
Yes,
you're saying is not
he's
true.
right. No. What he said was correct. We only pay
Mhm.
for work done, and that's limited by the funding that we have.
Yeah,
So
Mhm.
CoLab, I think
It's-
I want to step in here really quickly, Vida,
Mm.
just because Malwa is new to the CoLab, fairly new to the CoLab. CoLab is a work ground, not a livelihood. I mean, yes, you can make it a livelihood based on the work that you do, but CoLab is an opportunity where you can do the work, and it's not a community that you actually live in, if that makes sense. So, yes, it is important for us to understand how our funding is going, and it needs to be reciprocated with the work that is delivered, and that's the whole reason why we have project management across CoLab and not a community. I don't know, like, how community takes care of the members in itself, like a physical community. That is not what CoLab is. So the livelihood that you're talking about is completely a responsibility of the individual, and they do the work. CoLab also gives we should probably write this somewhere, an ability to invest in your own skills as well, by training programs, by support giving, in hands-on jobs and things like that. So that's how you can support yourself in livelihood. But I think it's unfair to understand CoLab as unfair, in my opinion. That it'll pay your rent, or your money for groceries or whatever. You have to work for it, and then you can use that money whatever to keep yourself sustained. Peter, I don't know if I said anything off screen. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna just take us for a second, right? So for 10 years before I got sick, okay, I was so into capoeira, and it's a super active Afro-Brazilian dance fight style. And the reason I say it is that you would get super good at it, and you become like quite gymnastic. But this really interesting thing would happen with beginners, because they weren't used to the frame of movements that were allowed, that they would do things really surprising, and this would create really emergent opportunities. And I actually love Marwa's comment because of this, just to tie it back, Marwa, because we are so embedded in the way that CoLab functions right now that we don't broaden enough to bring in this other scope. This is like such a huge piece. It's very true. There's almost no one who is full-time in CoLab. Almost no one can go like, oh yeah, I get a salary from CoLab, I'm relaxed, I am fine, right? And exactly like what you were saying, for work done. And while I understand both Amy and Joe's reactions to this, because it's explaining in the sense that, oh, you're a beginner, you don't know, I think the opportunity is to go, we're looking at where CoLab falls short, and where we fall short is if we could have the type of funding and stability to have at least some people full-time or part-time or on salary, instead of waiting this 3 months, 4 months, 6 months that we wait to be paid at the year. It would completely change the way that CoLab functions and feels. It doesn't mean that we know how it's possible or that it's going to happen tomorrow, but I'm just giving this comment the space that it needs to kind of breathe, because that is the point of this conversation. This is not a practicalities conversation for me.
Okay.
It's also very different what you're saying now, that there would be some full-time positions. It's not saying that every member would have a full-time position. This is a huge jump. No, I'm not saying we shouldn't make space in our imaginations for it. Absolutely, do that. But that would require everyone to put their hands and time investment into it to make that a possibility. And I'm glad that we are capturing here. So thank you, Malwa, for raising it, because yes, let's leave it there and see what it sprouts in the future.
And my intention was more of awareness, Vida, as to the clarity, the line. Then yeah. Some of the things, as you are also thinking, I have another prompt. Why does it matter? And this is something that will be important for the next step in this process, is a dot voting process. As you start to wrap up what's aligned and what's perhaps something they're falling short, you are given some dots at the bottom of your frame. And please take a moment, and I'm not going to restrict, but actually I think I'm going to. Each one of us will get 5 dots. Yeah, each one of us will get 5 dots, and use those 5 dots into each column. Each column gets 5 dots. Use those as to why, according to you, does that particular pattern matter. You don't have to explain it. Your dot explains it. You give relevance, but think about it before you place the dot. Why does it matter that particular theme be alive in CoLab? And use your 5 dots on each one of these post-its. Any questions as to what's happening next? I'm going to treat silence as completely understood.
So, sorry, Joe, to recap, the dots is to indicate what?
Indicate in the post-its in each of the columns. So one column 1 where we are aligned, you'll have 5 dots, and you can choose which of these post-its matter to you the most. And think about why does it matter to you before you put the dot on. You don't have to explain, just think about it and then choose your dot, because sometimes we just put the dots because a lot, it's a confirmation bias, right? Like a lot of people are going towards one post-it and I'll put my dot there. Like, I want to ease on that and say, think about it for a second. Why does it matter to you? And then place your dot there. You get in each column. Oops, sorry. Apparently, I've chosen the color green.
We have been on for about an hour, so don't be alarmed if it goes off again and I have to reconnect it, okay?
5 for each column, Kate. Sorry, I'm just seeing the comment here. I'm sorry if I didn't see the chat.
I know we're supposed to be done at making sticky notes, but I have this really, for me, important point in the CoLab, which is the transparent accounting processes.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't know which principle that should fall under. Like the fact that we have the ability to see where funds go seems really important to me.
I think that is more. I'll let Amy speak.
Self-regulation, maybe?
I think it's use and value resources.
Actually.
Okay, repeat again.
The question is the transparent accounting process. Like we have the open collective, we do budget checks, we talk about being on track and all of those things. Where would that fall under was Vida's question. And then Kate has responded to apply self-regulation. I was thinking about the use and value the resources. But the question,
maybe both are fine. I mean, I agree with Kate with applying self-regulation because these are all things that we apply together, like with each other and for each other.
Yeah.
Money is not renewable. Would be nice.
But the value is renewable, no? Money, whatever the value is created by money, and it's a resource. So, but I get it. I understand the self-regulation and accept feedback. Recently, we had a conversation as to, we are, I'm going to phrase it properly, that we have to switch to some of the volunteer time on the projects because we are, from our tracking systems, we are far ahead than the work we have completed. So regulation makes more sense. Take a few moments. The next piece is exciting for me, so I am getting all queued up to go to the next piece. But take a few moments, put your dots on. Should probably put my dots on too. 5 dots on column 2 as well, and look at all the themes that are emerging. And I'm going to start bringing us to actionable spaces. Oops. take a couple minutes to wrap up, please. Okay, I am done. I have played long enough. Can you grab, when I say can, of course you can, but I invite you to look at both the columns. The one that has more dots, essentially, as a collective exercise, we feel like that's an important conversation for us to take forward. And I invite you to go to the third one now and look at look at those sections, those categories, the ones that have emerged with lots of dots. And then translating that is, ask yourself, what can we do next on those sections, and what do actually we will commit to do in them. I'm aware of time. I want to quickly action these, and I want to say the one that's formed. Oops, sorry, I'm moving a lot. Is transparent co-budgeting and financial management. That's already something that we are aligned in. Is there a conversation that need to be had as to what can we do next for it? Is there something that we need to do differently or as a next step for evolution? I can actually start copying the ones that are coming into highlight.
There's something to be said about this, is that when posts are out to recruit for such a positions, that we get almost no applications for them. So it's important, and people recognize it's important, but they don't put themselves forward to actually do the work.
That's a great point to capture, right, Amy? Like, people don't want to engage in transparent processes.
Well, they
They play a part. When I said don't want to, I meant play a part in creating, but consumers of that information, but not that also speaks to the engagement on the left hand side. I don't want to be the only person talking. I invite you to unmute yourself and talk to everybody as to what are you noticing as some of the patterns. I'm bringing all the things that I'm seeing as multiple dots on them. This is also another one of those things, right? Like participation and engagement. We are all wanting to be here and have a conversation and calling out on you.
I'm a little bit lost about what we're engaging on right now.
So I have added the ones that have emerged in this particular 6 people group as to what we think are most important, and I've added these, and I'm asking you to talk about what can we do if there is a next evolution. Like Amy had brought in, like, yeah, we have co-budgeting and financial management, but when the positions open up, nobody signs up for them. So we are happy that we have some way to manage it. We are consumers of that information. But when it comes to production, to be responsible for a process to work and to deliver, that's not where we see a lot of interest. So that's something that, you know, we can start looking into. Why is that, and all of that. So like that, I've gathered all the most dotted from both the columns here, and I'm asking, let's start ideating into what can we do and what do we want to do. What do we do about it?
I mean, I think some of these need more time than we have today.
Yeah.
And some of them are linked. I think, for example, like the lack of participation.
Right.
There's different levels to it, right? There's the individual level where every individual is responsible for their own level of participation, and that's obviously constrained with how much time you've got, whether you have good internet, if you speak English, all of this stuff, because we know that our space has those limitations, and the person also has their own limitations. Then there is at the level of opportunities. I think there are no shortage of opportunities in the CoLab for participation. So increasing the opportunities wouldn't be an answer because we hardly have any response now, right?
Right.
So it's a difficult question to answer.
But it's not about the action, right? Like it's about the next step. Like, can we go deeper into that conversation? Can we start a conversation in CoLab saying, why do we lack participation? What do we need to happen, we as CoLab? And maybe it's multiple sessions. Maybe it is, you know, just focusing, dialing down into, we are seeing all these. We publish posts, nobody applies. We hold conversations, not many come. We start talking, like engaging within the CoLab, and multiple times, maybe, I don't know, there is spamming and then there is not spamming, but I don't know. But I think it's the next step is like, how do we get into these opportunities?
Maybe it's not about that. I think it maybe that some different approach is taken. If we accept that the level of the participation with the current member is at its limit,
Yeah.
then we need to broaden the membership and looking at the onboarding process of that happening. Like, how are people finding us? How are they coming in? What are they really interested in? How much capacity do those people have? Because you cannot make people do what they cannot do or what they don't want to do. Like, that's the limitation.
Yeah.
So if the 100x amount people are not engaging, then it's not they don't have capacity. You cannot make them. And we have tried different approaches, right? So maybe looking at this outside of the box, from an outside of the box perspective.
100%. I think just capture that, right? Like we capture that, and there's an acceptance level you're speaking to, and also it's also at the edges, what are the solutions that are sitting. That makes sense.
And also the kind of space we want to be. Do we want to be in acceptance of many people only being in the observation stage? We haven't in the past. After a year, we removed their accounts. Or do we allow longer observation phases or uncapped on observation phases, which also increases our data. So the more users you have on a platform, the more data you are using to host it. So keeping, there is a balance between how much energy you're using and what for. Is it useful to have someone in the observation stage for too long a time? Or do they stay in the observation phase without making an account, for example, to make the community free to view, but you have to have an account to interact. So that, again, there's different approaches to it, right?
Yeah, and also
And this is maybe we haven't talked about.
And also, as you say, like if we extend the membership, with the risk of the safety of the community too, right? Like, are we strong enough? Do we trust enough that we have the safety, the governance piece so solid that we can actually scale the membership and it still hold? And it's not just welcome onboarding. There's much more, right? Like the circle management, there is where people can engage, how they are onboarded to particular circles. There's a lot more that needs to happen for the engagement to happen. So for me, as we each of these is a focus that we can get into, is all I'm saying.
I think there's another aspect to the engagement, which is that can be addressed, that might be addressed by the move to the new platform, which is that if people are not managing to navigate Slack and not seeing all the posts or are feeling overwhelmed, then the new platform presents an opportunity for people to more easily see the things that they want to see and only the things that they want to see. And so I'm not sure it's just about the number of members, and I'm not sure that everybody is at their, or maybe everybody is at their engagement capacity limit now, but that's because within the framework that we have. But actually, if you're in a different framework where you can more easily see the stuff that's relevant to you, then actually people's capacity might be increased.
Yeah, because their interest is perhaps more peaked and they want to engage more. I don't know. But good point, Kate. We should probably capture that. Maybe on the next platform, we come back to this conversation. How are they engaging and how interested they are in furthering the conversations within those topics and categories. Well, I'm aware of time. It's 5 minutes. There's not a good closure, and I understand that. But I really want you to look at what do we want to do if we can call on as an individual, as a group, if there is something that we would want to take on and keep an eye on it. I can say I am more passionate from all these topics about the participation because I myself get influenced by it a lot. I know I've held conversations where I and my team members were the only ones in the conversation. The designers of the conversations are the participants of the conversations, and I do not like that. So I want to do something about it. What I want to do, I don't know, but I want to keep working at that lack of participation policy problem that we all have. So I'm going to put my name next to it. So I invite you to look at these opportunities, and if I'm not forcing you to do anything that you don't want to do.
I think also some of this, like the lack of participation, is also influencing other topics on there that have been identified, like the power dynamics, for example. We would have less power imbalances and more equal power dynamics if we had more participating people, because it would be flatter.
Yeah, because it's that the cascading effect, right? Like it's not cascading, but like, whatever, interdependent. So that's what I've done is I added my name to that particular section. And I had what do we do in that, and I put my name in it. So I invite you to do invitation only, and if you do not have capacity, as Kate was saying, maybe we are at our capacity to engage, and if you don't want to do anything, that's perfectly all right. For the next minute or so, please identify if there is something you want to do. I'm just making notes for myself because I want to engage in that.
One minute to go. Shall we do a checkout quickly?
Yeah, thank you, Amy. Thanks for reminder. This board is not going anywhere. If this is board that inspires you, if you want to come back to it, if you want to invite your teams to look at these, if you want to take anything from this board to your project, to your team, to the spaces that you work, and want to continue to enhance, I sincerely ask you to consider doing that. Have a conversation within your group. Have a conversation within your project. How does these principles apply to us? What do we do? What can we do differently? How do we integrate back into the bigger CoLab context? With that invitation, I want you to ask that I was going to close on gratitude. I don't know why I'm asking for gratitude, but I want to ask you, how was this exercise for you? What opened up? And that could be our checkout. And let's take a 30-second to a minute to each to be there, and you can use chat as well. How was this exercise?
Shall I kick us off? I'm feeling a little tender around some of these because they're alive and kicking with me right now. I feel emotional about it. So I think I need more time to digest. So that's me, and I can make things easier by passing it on to Marwa.
Have this rendezvous, like this is a rendezvous moment, right?
Yeah. So the question was like, how do we feel about the exercise?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of feeling like a it was a process where we did come to some conclusions, like just for instance, well, I see like a lack of participation, something we can focus on, and also power, unspoken power dynamics. So, but yeah, it was kind of feeling like still some things left open, but now that I'm speaking this out loud, I do see like we did at least like come to conclusion that lack of participation and unspoken power dynamics are important things to work on, but maybe still open as far as how to work on these things.
Okay, thank you. Rita? Let's stop sharing my screen.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, okay, just noticing your comments as well in the chat, and I put your name in there because we're already working on that. So it's interesting that maybe it was alive in me that we were working on some of that. I think it was a really interesting exercise. Like, it feels quite, yeah, Amy used the word tender. It feels quite delicate to have these conversations. And I'm really grateful for Jyo for opening up the space for doing that. And I guess maybe I can reaffirm as well, I'm taking a lot of accountability. Like, I wrote the part in MS1, and I'm taking a lot of accountability for like noticing where I feel central and where I feel marginal, and how that transition has happened quite quickly from feeling like I was on the margins to feeling like, oh my goodness, like, why am I at the middle of some of these things? And I think that's super interesting. Because we don't have a CEO, right? Like, we have to figure this stuff out for ourselves. We don't have an annual retreat. We don't have a strategy meeting. You know what I mean? Like, we have to figure this out as members. And I know I'm now taking too long to check out, Jyo. So sorry, I will park it and leave it there. I'm just grateful for the space that you created doing this.
Yeah, I hear the decentralization actually brings a lot more challenges of alignment, or not necessarily alignment, but engagement and incentivizing engagement. Kate. Anything you would want to say, Kate?
Sorry, I couldn't find the right tab. I'd moved to look at something else, which was this has been really useful for me to come and be part of this, and it's food for thought for the principles focused evaluation that I'm planning. So yeah, I was just moving to that particular mirror board to capture some thoughts, and that's why I couldn't find this particular Jitsi. So yeah, so interesting, and I'm going to digest. So thank you.
Thank you. I think this one was difficult for me to get organized around, and I'm grateful for the support I've gotten to have this conversation. I'm also very incomplete as I'm leaving the space, because I feel like this conversation needs to happen again and again and again with many people again and again and again. And we do not have that luxury of multiple conversations, multiple, or maybe we do, I don't know. So I'm sitting with that, and yeah, I resonate with that tender feeling of non-closure feeling, not necessarily tender, but non-closure feeling. So I honor it, I accept it. Thank you again for being here and giving additional 6 minutes to be here. Thanks for being in the CoLab. Well, this was our exploration. Yay!
Yay, thanks, Jyo.